Hello, everyone. Before our daily reflection, just a quick word of gratitude. Thank you so much to everybody who's reached out in support. I really appreciate it. And I just want to let you know that I'm doing very well, so thank you. In our gospel today, Jesus begins the Sermon on the Mount with the 8 Beatitudes. And as he does so, going up this mountain in Galilee, the symbolism of what he was doing would not have been lost on the Jewish people. He's going up the mountain just like Moses went up the mountain. And when Moses came down from the mountain, he came down with the 10 Commandments, teaching the people how to follow God. And Jesus going up on this mountain then gives this Sermon on the Mount where he instructs all of us on how to follow God more closely, and beginning with these 8 Beatitudes that we hear today. Now, if you actually count the number of times that the word blessed is used in the gospel, it's used 9 times. We typically lump the last 2 together because they're very similar thematically. And then the word blessed means a sort of eternal happiness. And if we then add the exhortation at the end, which Jesus says, rejoice and be glad, then we get to the number 10, which again draws that parallel between Jesus and Moses a lot more closely. But we typically speak of 8 Beatitudes. And so these 8 Beatitudes that Jesus gives us are very helpful for us in terms of examining our life and how closely we're following God. We can use them as an examination of conscience in preparation for the sacrament of reconciliation, or also just as a day-to-day sort of examination of how things went in a given day. And just a couple quick examples of how we can do that. Jesus says, blessed are the poor in spirit. And as he says that, what he means is God our sole desire and our sole longing of our life. And when we think about this in terms of an examination of conscience, we can ask, have I been willing and ready to sacrifice worldly goods for the sake of a spiritual good, for maybe serving somebody, or maybe for drawing closer to God in my prayer life, or things like that? Then we hear in the next statement, Jesus says, blessed are they who mourn. And a couple ways we can examine our conscience in that regard is thinking, when I go through difficult moments, do I give them right over to the Lord? Do I turn to Him for comfort? Or do I sometimes try to distract myself with entertainment or with other sorts of addictions? Another way we can take that one is to say, when other people are going through moments of difficulty, am I ready to be compassionate and loving towards them? Or do I sometimes even add to their sadness? Then Jesus says, blessed are the meek, exhorting us then to humility as well as to a sort of gentleness. Are there times that our anger gets in the way and we don't treat other people as gently as we ought to? Are there times where we feel like we need to have the last word, or we feel like we need to one-up everybody around us? Or can we live in that meekness and humility that Jesus is calling us to? And again, those are just a couple of the Beatitudes that Jesus gives us, but all of them can be a very useful tool for helping us to learn how to follow God more closely. As Jesus went up the mountain, he teaches us how to follow God more closely, and following him, we truly will be blessed. We'll experience that eternal happiness that comes from knowing him, loving him, and serving him in this life, and being happy with him forever in the next.